So let's see today's lovely black chana and tendli melgur. Now what I've done is first I've taken about a cup of black chana, washed it well under water thrice, and I'm going to soak it in 3 cups of water for about 4 to 5 hours. Now after 4 to 5 hours, you'll see that it has swollen up a bit or swelled up a bit. Now I'm just going to put it in my pressure pan and I'm going to cook it in 2 cups of water for 1 whistle on high, and then I'm going to keep it on a simmer for 10 minutes. Now, once it's cooked, let the pressure pan completely cool down before you open it. And then you'll see that the black chana is nicely cooked. You can check it by just pressing it and it should break like this very easily. If it is not, then put it back in the pressure pan and cook it for another 1 whistle on high. So now let's start making this melgur. So here I've got 1 tablespoon of oil heating up. To that I'm going to add half a teaspoon of mustard seeds. Once the mustard seeds begin to splutter, I'm going to add about 4 cloves of garlic that I've chopped fine. Now I'm going to fry the garlic well till the rawness of the garlic goes away. Next, I'm going to add 1 medium onion that I've chopped fine. Now fry the onion also well till it's nice and translucent. Once the onion is done, I've just taken about 8 to 10 tendlis and I've just washed them very well, wiped them dry and cut them lengthwise like this into very thin kind of slivers. If you want to see how to cut the tendli, I've included it in my tendli pickle recipe that I'd uploaded a few days ago. I'll leave a link so you can go and see how to cut them like this. Now I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of red chili powder, half a teaspoon of turmeric or haldi powder, and I'm going to mix all of this really well together. See that all the masala and the bagar coats the tendli very well. Now we're just going to cover and cook till the tendli is nicely cooked. So after about a minute or two, just check on the tendli by pressing it down with your spatula or spoon, and if it breaks easily, that means it's cooked. If it is not, then continue cooking it for another 1 or 2 minutes more. You can see that it's not cooked, so I will continue cooking it. And now another 2 minutes I kept it for cooking, and now if you see, if I press it down with my spatula, it breaks very easily like this. So now our tendli is cooked. So only once the tendli or the tondli, whatever you pronounce it as, once that is cooked, only then we are going to add our cooked black chana. Now mix everything nicely well together. And now I'm going to be adding a 1 heaped tablespoon of Surnayche curry powder. I will leave a link of how I prepared the Surnayche curry powder. I just uploaded it a few days ago, but I will leave a link in the description box as well as the comment section, so you all can go and check that out. Also, I'll leave a link to all my Goan recipes, Goan desserts, Christmas sweets, Easter eggs, all of them in my description, as well as my comments section down. You can go and check it out. Now I'm just going to add some salt, and I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of jaggery too. So mix everything really nicely together. Now you can see that there is some water which came along with the chana when we boiled it. Now we want that water to dry up because this is a very dry kind of dish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it and cook it for about a minute or 3 minutes till all the water dries up. That's very important. It should be dry like this. And now we just have to add 2 more ingredients. One is just about 1 tablespoon of tamarind pulp, that is tamarind soaked in water and the pulp just squeezed out. And I'm going to mix all of this well, and then I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of grated fresh coconut. Mix all of this really well together. And now just turn off the heat and your melgur is all ready. I hope you like this recipe, and Do give it a try, and if you like it, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I'll sprouted moong or with plain, just soaked moong. So watch the video till the end. I'll show you how to sprout the moong. So once the moong is sprouted, just put it into a pressure pan in a vessel like this. Don't add water to the vessel, only to the pan, and cook it for 2 whistles on high, and then switch the cooker off. Once the cooker has cooled down to room temperature, your moong will look like this. So don't add any water into the moong. Now this is a paste which I have prepared, and this is one boiled and cubed and peeled and cubed potato. So now for that paste, I took about 6 green chilies. I'm using the light green chilies which are less spicy, 1 inch of ginger. This is about half a cup of grated fresh coconut and 1 cup of coriander and some salt to taste. So I just added all of that to the mixer and made it into a nice paste like this. So it shouldn't be very smooth or very coarse, just of this consistency, so that everything is mixed well together. So now in my pan, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of oil. Once the oil is nice and heated, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of mustard seeds, that is mohori or rye. Once the mustard seeds begin to splutter, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of haldi powder or turmeric powder, followed by half a teaspoon of asafoetida or hing. Now we're going to add the ground paste to this bagar or to this 4D, and we're going to fry the paste for a whole minute till the paste starts oozing out a little bit of oil. So just fry it on a low to medium flame, stirring it. Now this usal is really delicious, and you can have this with puri or with rice, chapatis, even with pav. It tastes amazing. Now I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of coriander powder or dhania powder and half a teaspoon of cumin powder, jeera powder. So these are all homemade powders. If you want to see how I do that, make the powders at home, I'll leave a link to my recipe of how to make ground powders at home itself, so that there are no preservatives or anything in it. Now I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of goda masala. Again, this is a homemade masala. I'll leave the link to that. And I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of garam masala. So even this recipe you'll find in the description box as well as the comment section. So now once all the masalas are really fried nicely, we're going to add the moong that we cooked. Remember, we didn't add any water to the moong. We just added the water to the pressure cooker and cooked the moong for exactly 2 whistles. So like I said, you can either sprout the moong or you can just soak the moong for about 2 to 3 hours and then use it. Now if you want to see how I sprouted the moong, please watch the video till the end. It's a very simple process. So now I'm going to add 1 cup of hot water and mix everything really well together. Now if you want to have more of a dry dish, then only add this 1/2 cup of water. But if you want a little more gravy, then you can add another 1/2 cup of hot water. So I'm keeping it semi dry, in the sense not too much of a gravy. Now you can also taste it and just see if you need to add a little more salt, because we added salt only to the ground paste. So you can add salt if you like. Now mix everything really well together. So now I'm going to add just about 1 teaspoon of jaggery or gur. Now if you don't use jaggery in your cooking, you can also add sugar. Just a little bit, maybe just a pinch of sugar. And now we're going to add this boiled, peeled and cubed potatoes. So what I do is I take the potatoes, wash them well and put them in my pressure pan for 1 whistle on high with some water in it. And then I simmer it for about 5 minutes, put the pressure pan off, and once it cools down, I remove the potatoes, let them cool down a little and then peel them and cube them. And now we're just going to cover and cook this on a low flame for 3 minutes. And you can see that our usal is all ready. You can also squeeze some lime juice on top of this, and it goes very well with pav, bread slices, puri or rice. So do try out this recipe, guys, and let me know how you like it. And for those of you who want to know how I sprout the moong, you can watch the remaining part of this video. So what I do is I take about 1 wati of moong. I wash it very well under water, and then I soak it in about 3 cups of water overnight or for 8 hours. Then I remove all the water and keep it aside again for another 8 hours, and then you'll see that it sprouts. So if you want more sprouts, you want to sprout more, just keep it for another half a day. See, today's simple Goan cabbage fugat. Now here I've taken one medium-sized cabbage, washed it really well, and I've soaked it in water for about 15 minutes, to which I added salt. After that again I rinsed it well. Now I'm going to take off the stalk and I'm going to cut it up into half. Now take off any little bit of brownish leaves that are there. And now I'm just going to cut around it like this, just turning the cabbage around with a very sharp knife. And don't use the white stalk part. So just keep turning the cabbage around and just keep cutting. And that way you'll get these nice thin shreds. And again, I'm going to go, once I finish with it, I'm going to again take my knife and just go over the leaves again and cut them up really, really thin. So don't use the white, thick, stocky part. Now this recipe is super simple. It gets ready within about hardly 8 minutes because cabbage cooks really fast. And it has very few ingredients, as you'll see. And this can be had with chapatis or even with some fish curry rice. It's really nice. And now after chopping up the cabbage, I'm going to transfer it to a bowl, and you can see if there are any big parts, just run your knife through them. And one more tip is always discard the outer covering of the cabbage leaves. However fresh they look, don't use those leaves. Anyway, let's go on to the recipe. So here I've heated about 1 tablespoon of oil. Once my oil is nice and hot, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of mustard seeds, which is also called mohri or rye. Now let the mustard seeds splutter in the oil. I'm going to add 1 chopped green chili. They're cooking on a low to medium flame. Let the chili fry nicely in the oil. Then I've taken 1 inch of ginger, chopped it really fine. I'm going to add that. Let the ginger also fry in the oil. Next, I'm going to add a few curry leaves, say about 7 or 8 curry leaves. You can keep the curry leaves whole or you can even chop them. Then I'm going to add half a teaspoon of turmeric powder or haldi powder. And last, I'm going to add 1 medium-sized onion that I've cut fine. Now we're going to bagar everything or fry everything really well till the onion gets a nice and translucent. So we are done with all the ingredients. Now we just have to add our cabbage, which we've chopped. I've used the entire medium-sized cabbage. This is enough for 4 people. And then mix everything well. See that the bagar, coats all of the cabbage nicely. So you don't have any white parts of the cabbage, but everything is nicely covered with the yellow bagar. This is very important. Now, cabbage is one thing which cooks so fast because you can even eat cabbage raw. So, it doesn't take much time, and you shouldn't have a very mushy cabbage also. So just cover and cook this for about 5 minutes on a low to medium flame and keep stirring in between. And now we're just going to add some salt to taste, and I like to add a pinch of sugar. Now again mix everything well. See that the salt and the sugar coat everything really well. So our cabbage is almost cooked. So now I'm just going to keep it on an open flame and just stir it around. So we just have another 2 minutes of cooking this and we are almost done. So this is a super fast dish. So you can always, prep your cabbage, keep it cut in the refrigerator, and then when you're ready, just get get it done. So now I'm just going to cook this for 1 minute. And now I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of fresh grated coconut. Now you can go less on the coconut, but I like to add a lot of coconut to my cabbage. It just elevates the flavor. You can also add a little bit just for garnish. But I like to add a whole, 1/4 cup of nicely freshly grated coconut. And now mix everything well. The cabbage has to be mixed nicely with the coconut. And now we just have about half a minute of cooking, and then we're going to turn off the flame and your recipe is all ready. So you can have this, with nice chapatis, or you can have it as a side dish with some fish curry rice, or even with a meat curry rice, anything. It's just very, very nice and delicious and really refreshing and nice for the summer too. So I hope you like this recipe. To give it a try. I'll catch you in my next video. This is Akshata signing off. Bye guys.
recipes. Today I'll be showing you how to make some bharli vangi or some stuffed brinjals. Now here we're going to use the smaller brinjals and we're going to cut them in a way that if this is the brinjal, you're going to cut it on top vertically, turn it around and horizontally so that we don't entirely cut the brinjal and it doesn't break up. I will show it to you in the recipe. And for the stuffing, we are going to be using some fresh coconut, some homemade goda masala, and some tamarind pulp with a few other Indian spices. This dish is really very simple to make and it's so delicious to eat. And it's best eaten with some hot bhakris or puris or some steamed rice.
Well friends, for our stuffing of our brinjals, we have taken 1 cup of fresh coconut, some tamarind pulp, goda masala, haldi powder, red chili powder, salt and some gur or jaggery. Now for the tamarind pulp, I have taken about a small lime-sized ball of tamarind and soaked it in half a cup of water for 15 minutes and then squeezed out all the pulp. Now we're going to cut the small brinjals on one side vertically and on the other side diagonally so that the brinjal doesn't break. Now when you're putting the stuffing, be extremely careful and gentle as to not to break the brinjal. So I'm using about 6 to 7 small brinjals. Now we are going to make this in a pressure pan, but you can also make it in a normal cooking vessel. It will just take about a little longer, about 10 minutes longer till the brinjals are completely cooked. Of course, it always works out better in a pressure pan. Now we're not going to use all of the stuffing. You're going to keep about, say, 1 cup or half a cup of the stuffing because that adds to the gravy and thickens the gravy up too. Now this goda masala is homemade. I will leave a link in my description box of how to make goda masala at home. It is extremely simple. So here, while I'm just finishing stuffing the brinjals, we're heating some oil in a pan. Now I'm using a little more oil than normal, so I'm using 2 tablespoons of oil instead of 1 tablespoon because we have to fry the brinjals a little so they become nice and crispy too. That also enhances the flavor of the dish. Now once our oil is hot, we're going to use our normal fodni ingredients. So we're going to go in with half a teaspoon of mustard seeds or mohri or rye, followed by 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds or jeera. Then we're going to add half a teaspoon of asafoetida or hing and half a teaspoon of haldi powder. Now once our mustard seeds begin to splutter, now I is adding a little more hing, so you can go for about 3/4 teaspoon of hing for this recipe. Now we're just going to put in the brinjals. Now if you don't like brinjals, you can also use baby potatoes. I'll put a recipe up. It has the same procedure and the same ingredients, but you can use baby potatoes if you're not a big brinjal fan. So now we're going to saute our vanga or brinjals a bit in the lovely flavored oil. See that you are generous with the stuffing inside the brinjal. Now we're just covering it. We're not completely closing up our pressure pan. We're just covering it, and we'll be repeating this procedure of covering for about half a minute, again opening it, again stirring a bit, again closing it for 2 times just to cook the brinjals a bit, and that also enhances the flavor of the dish. Now, one little kitchen tip I'd like to give you here is, to make your work easier. What I like to do is, as and when I'm cooking, I like to also clean up and clear up, in between cooking time. Like if I, and my brinjal is taking some time to cook, I like to just put away all the spices that I've taken out, or all the coconut from the refrigerator, or the salt in its place. That really helps, and it makes work easier. I mean, instead of just, I've seen some people when they're cutting onions, they have peels all over, they have, all spices lying over, their entire kitchen platform is full of, stuff. So as and when you have the time, when your vegetable is cooking, just clear up. It keeps your kitchen looking nice, it makes you feel good, and it also lessens your work of clearing up so much of trash at one time. Like for example, if I'm chopping up onions, the peels, I always like to keep a paper bag and just put all of them together, so I can just, I don't have to go to the waste paper bin 10 times. I can just go once and for all and, just throw up all the trash there. So now you can see that the brinjals have become a darker color. Now we're going to add in all the rest of the stuffing with a little bit of water, because we don't want to waste any of the amazing stuffing. So just add a little bit of water and clear up all the stuffing. As the old saying goes, waste not, want not. That's what we learn from our elders. Make use of everything, don't waste anything. Now one more tip over here is use fresh coconut, guys. Don't use, frozen coconut, or it gives a different flavor when you use freshly grated coconut. Now look at the rich color of this dish. Doesn't it already look so appetizing? Now to cook this brinjal, we're going to add about 1 cup of water. Now it all depends upon how thick or how thin you would like to have your gravy. So you can add water if you want a thinner amount of gravy. So I'm adding about 1 tablespoon of dhania powder or coriander powder, and 1 teaspoon of cumin powder or jeera powder. Now we've already added salt in the stuffing, so if you feel like you want to add some salt, just give it a little bit of a taste. This bharli vangi, like I said, goes extremely well with some bhakri or some steamed rice or even puri. You can always check and taste whether you need to add more chili powder, more gur for sweetening, more tamarind water. It has a very sweet, spicy and sour flavor. And it gets ready also very quickly. Now to prepare the brinjal, initially what I like to do is I cut off the peel, wash it, cut off the tips rather, not the peel, wash it a bit, cut it up, and then keep it in some salt water for about 5-10 minutes, and then give it a thorough wash before using it for this recipe. So now we're just waiting for the gravy to come to a little bit of a boil. And then we're just going to seal the pressure pan, close it up, and then cook it for 2 whistles on high, and then keep it for 5 to 10 minutes on a slow flame. And then once your cooker is, and then put this flame off, and then once your cooker has completely cooled down, or your brinjals are completely cooked, then you can open up your pressure pan or your cooker, and all you have is just amazing bharli vangi. So there it is, friends, all ready. Just garnish with some amazing coriander, and you're all set for a lovely lunch or dinner. I hope you like this recipe. See you soon, guys. Bye.
Well friends, don't forget to give this video a big like. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel by hitting the red subscribe button you see below this video. Do ring the bell icon so every time I upload a new video, you'll be the first one to know. Please share my recipes with family and friends. Do visit my channel for more than 215 videos. And thanks so much for watching. See you in another video. Take care.